Hi, this is Stacey Kimbrell, and I hope you're doing well today. Today, we are going to be talking about sleep, and you are here with Monday Night Ignite. We have this going through the end of this month and through December. And so make sure you come back for the next couple weeks, and you'll have great education for the first hour, which is 7 p.m. Eastern, and then 8 p.m. Eastern is our Business Young Living edition, if you want to stay on for that. Tonight, we're talking about sleep once again. It's supposed to be Ed Daly here. I am so sorry. I wanted him to speak so bad on this, and I'm the one who messed up the schedule. And then on top of it, he's feeling a smidge under weather today. So he sent me his PowerPoint, and he said I should be able to handle it. And I was like, okay, like Pam said, as a trooper, I will try my best. But I don't know all his thoughts in his head. So I'm going off of what I know myself, what I've experienced. And it's so funny because this last week has been like Help People Sleep Week. So perhaps this was gearing up for this. But so let me just get started right away. And Pam's going to help here as well. Just one second. And here we go. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, and then Pam will recite them whenever she's ready to, because I can't do that. Look at this beautiful little picture of this baby. Oh my goodness. And we want to have as good a sleep that babies can have. I remember when my son was born, he would sleep so many hours. I'm like, is he alive? I had to check and see if this was normal, right? When you first have your first child. Today, we want to make sure that we're learning about what the big picture is. We need to identify the sleep, the barriers to sleep, to learn the stages of sleep, to learn why we want to keep better sleep hygiene. I love that title. I was trying to figure out what he was talking about with that, but you'll see in a minute. And then learn about what essential oil products or young living products that we can use to help along with this. So what type of sleeper are you? And do you have trouble falling asleep? Do you have trouble staying asleep? Do you wake up every morning at like 2 or 3 in the morning? That alludes to having adrenal issues. Are you tired when you wake up? And do you have a fitful sleep? So are you really moving and agitated while you're sleeping? That kind of thing. Things that can affect your sleep, of course, is stress. If you're doing late workouts, and like for me, like I would love to play kickboxing, or I love physical, climbing trees, roofs, whatever, right? That kind of stuff. But for me and how I am, I really shouldn't be doing that, especially before I go to sleep, because it gets me too ramped up. So I need something that's a calmer, relaxing something. Too much food at night, especially if you're going to be having excess carbs and sugars. Electronics and cell phones, and just the overstimuli, not only visually, but with the EMFs that accompany that as well. And then the room temperature, is it too hot? We'll go over that. How's your mattress? And, folks that have night jobs, it's pretty rough on them to try to get really good, adequate sleep. So how much sleep do we need, and how much time do we even spend sleeping? Do you realize that 33% of our lives is sleeping, or at least attempting to sleep? And so I just had a guest over this weekend, and she was definitely having trouble sleeping. I gave her a whole gamut of stuff and promised her she'd sleep through the night. But there's many different factors that go in with that. So our goal is to get about 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. If you're younger or a child, they need much more. And like we told our children, the importance of sleeping, and that's when your body grows, and that kind of thing. It's the same thing that happens with us, and where our mind's thinking and getting ready for the next day, and creating memories, and storing long-term memories, and your immune system healing, and all these different things. Everyone is different about how much sleep they need. And of course, I'm sure most of you guys have heard about this before. And what Gary Young would say is he had like 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night, and he was ready to go. And I do believe that this man had an amazing self-care practice, where he did really take care of himself, and he had the necessary products to keep his immune system where it needed to be, so he could maintain that. For me personally, at this time, I must not be doing a good job, because I need a good 8, 9, 10, 9 hours of sleep to function correctly. And he was much older than I am currently, so I need to do some work on this. And this is always a good presentation, even if we know the majority of this. It's a good reminder of what we need to do, and really try to put these things in practice. So a lack of sleep can cause many different health challenges. I was just learning because I didn't even know how to say it. It's called, my gosh, now I forgot,
Ghrelin.
ghrelin, thank you.
Ghrelin.
Ghrelin, that's how you say it. Thank you.
Ghrelin.
Ghrelin, I was looking up how to say it. So ghrelin is the hungry hormone, which is so fascinating. And then you have leptin, which is the full hormone. So when you don't have enough sleep, it creates more ghrelin, and it makes you hungry, it makes you crave the carbs and all the sweets and stuff like that. And of course, then it reduces the leptin, and then we have the cycle of now being in trouble with that. The cognitive decline, we've all been sleep deprived at one time or another in life, and it's created a cognitive issue. I'm sure we all can have an experience with that. It affects obviously the immune system, and then less sleep is less time for the body to repair itself, because that is when the body does do the true healing in the body. So a quick assessment is, what kind of sleeper are you? How is your current stress level? Any significant events in the last 48 hours? And how well do you practice self-care? Your stress level, I love to have people do like a 1 through a 10 for these kind of evaluations. Is your stress a 1 through a 10? How's your sleep? Would you rate it a 1 through a 10? Sleeping well and waking up feeling rested. And when you have those accurate numbers of a 5 or a 6 or 8, or hopefully it's a 10, which is the best, right? Then you have a guideline to go off of, so that when you're getting better sleep, and you have it like documented. Just like if you didn't get to hear, Pam's husband was just talking about how he does it on his Apple Watch to see about his sleep assessment. And he's experimenting with different oils that help him get more of a deep, restful sleep, which of course is when the body's repairing and regenerating itself. So very important. The different stages of sleep here, we have 5 stages of sleep. I only knew about 4, so I did some studying today. So we have the 5 stages of sleep. I had to put my glasses on here. And the sleep, this is stage 1, of course, is the lightest sleep cycle, excuse me. This is where your theta waves are here. You're sort of like having that jerking movement, excuse me. And your heart rate starts to diminish, and your brain waves start to get a little bit more restful. Your breathing rate's a little bit more regular. Stage 2 of sleep is the sleep gets less, you're less able to be wakened. So I'm always amazed, because my husband's such a light sleeper, it appears, but when he gets into that stage, like even when I come in the room later than him, because he goes to bed early, I'm amazed he doesn't wake up then. So I'm always like trying to be really quiet, but he just sleeps right through it. And this is the sawtooth waves on EEGs, Ed says. So let me tell you more about sleep 2. And this is where you're getting into the deep sleep for 3 and 4, or the non-rapid eye movement is when you're in 3 and 4. So this is where you're progressively getting to the deeper sleep stages. And this is where it really starts to recharge the immune system. It helps with the cardiovascular system. It actually helps with the memory at this point. And it's very hard to wake up someone during these stages. And then you have your delta waves, also known as a slow wave sleep or deep sleep, an important stage of the circadian rhythm, in which many primary biochemical changes occur to promote essential homeostatic functions in the process. This is literally where we're getting into the dream, your emotional well-being, and restoring that as well, your creativity. It's like amazing. And so this creates regulating the cognitive awareness, memory retention, intracellular formation, and growth in organic tissue support. Nice way of saying that. Stage 5 is like amazing. So this is your REM deep sleep, which your husband's name is Mark, right?
George.
I'm so sorry, George. That George was just talking about. It's difficult to get into this sleep. And when you do, this is when the body is really having the opportunity to make sure it's repairing itself, even with the skeletal muscular system, breathing with, okay, I'm messing this up here. This is where the heart rate often increases because this is in your serious like dream state. And I love how this is sort of like your body's actually paralyzed during, I was reading during this time, because this is where, like when you're having these dreams and you're climbing trees or falling off a cliff or, you know, whatever's happening, I don't know, but you're not actively acting on these things with movements of your hands and legs and all that kind of stuff. So your body actually goes into like a light paralyzed state during this stage. And it's like really amazing. So let's keep going. This is a little blurry, but this is once again the different stages of sleep. So stage 1 is breathing and muscular activity starts to slow down. It's very easy to wake up during this time. Stage 2 is the heart rate slows down, the temperature drops. And this is why, you know, when you go to bed, you may be cold, but then when you're during the midnight, you may like start bursting into flames here. Is, you know, you usually have a lot of more blankets on in the beginning because you're colder in the beginning, but then you get warmer. So be aware that you can always throw that one blanket off, or just be aware that because once you actually fall asleep, then you won't need all that most likely. Stage 3 is a deep sleep where the brain generates the slow beta waves and starts getting the muscles completely relaxed. The stage 4 is the brain produces delta waves and the body starts to repair itself. Remember, this is not just the body, but this is the brain, the thought process, having where your memory is being retained. And then stage 5 is when the brain gets active, increases the heart rate, and this is where most likely people are dreaming. Now, some people say, well, I don't dream, and is that a problem and all that? And it's not a problem depending on what the situation is or what your life is going on. Like this is every day you don't dream, or what's the situation. But you know, there's some people that are on medications that are definitely going to prohibit this deep REM sleep, and that can cause an issue why you wouldn't, or just cause an issue in general. And I'm so happy to tell you, with lifestyle changes, many people have got off like serious sleep aids that they have been taking. So it's a lifestyle change. It's not just Young Living or oils or this or that, whatever, but creating new patterns, which we'll go over in a second. Many people have been able to get off of Ambien and different such things. So this is just sort of a EEG when people have it on with the brain waves. If you ever had a sleep study done, then you'd have more information on this from yourself, and you can sort of see the different stages. And the circadian rhythm is the cycle is natural and internal process that regulates the sleep cycle and repeats roughly every 24 hours. And when you're in your deep REM sleep, that's like a 90-minute cycle it goes through, which is another thing. So if someone wakes up earlier, they get up early before they get a chance to get that REM sleep, then you're just like, is that good or not? If you're not getting up, like if you're really exhausted today and you're not getting that rest that you need, because you have to either wake up early or you choose to for exercising, let's say, or something, then you really need to change your schedule for when you go to bed, because you need to get that REM deep sleep, to stage 5 sleep as well. And this is our circadian rhythms in humans, but when you look at it, it's sort of interesting because aligns with many different cultures and modalities, like Chinese medicine, of like when you're supposed to be going to sleep, and when your liver's getting cleared, or it has a process to detox, I should say. And many people believe that when the sun goes down, no matter what time of the year is when you should be in bed. And of course, that sounds wonderful if you live that lifestyle. I'm sure that's the best way to go. But most likely it doesn't happen here with people in the US, or perhaps wherever you do live. But here's just a great rhythm of the schedule. So it says the best coordination is at 2:30 in the afternoon, and the fastest reaction time is at 3:30. I figured I should start playing pickleball at that time. Maybe I'll be better at that game. And 5 o'clock is when your cardiovascular and your muscular strength is the best and most efficient. And then your highest blood pressure is at 6 p.m. And the cycle just keeps going around. Melatonin starts to secrete at 9 p.m. So we should really be in bed at least by 10, 11 at the latest, right? Because the liver's cleaning and dumping, I think it's between 11 and 1. And so you really want to make sure that you're in bed as close to the sun going down and adequate, make sure you have adequate sleep time, right? REM time. A personal story, I've been helping quite a few people lately, and even myself. I don't really have a sleep problem, although when I do, I know that I have caught myself, if there's like a cycle for like a couple of days when I'm not sleeping that well. I tell you what, I know I have control of my brain, but if you start getting sleep deprived, then you start overthinking. You're like, what if I don't sleep tomorrow? What if this happens? What if this happens? It's like, okay, like we're not supposed to be even worrying about tomorrow, first of all, but you can put things in place so that we have a better situation lined up to sleep. And not, you got to take control of the brain. The couple of people I've talked to lately, they're like, I already know I'm not going to sleep because I already know this is going to happen, because I know this is going to happen. And my dog did this, and my cat does this, and the neighbor does this. And so they have already set their brain up to be convinced they're not going to sleep. So the last like 3 conversations I've had on this with people is like, you have to tell your brain, whether you believe it or not, that you're going to sleep nice, you're going to fall asleep with ease, and that the things that you're taking, whatever it may be, is going to aid in this process, and you're going to sleep very nice and restful and wake up feeling rested, right? You have to tell your brain this, otherwise you're already setting yourself up to fail, whether you take something that's just surely bound to help you or not. So I love Immune Pro, which we're going to be talking about in a second. So I'll tell you more about that in just a minute. Sleep hygiene, I thought this was such an interesting way to say this, but it means having both a bedroom environment and a daily routine, that promotes consistent, uninterrupted sleep. And so you want to make sure that everything is laid out nice. Now, doesn't this bedroom just look beautiful? Whatever yours is, and what it looks like. I remember our bedroom used to be in the basement. I thought, okay, we're only sleeping in here, so who cares? And I'm not like a frou-frou kind of person or whatever, but I hated my bedroom. Like, I didn't like the paneling. It was brown paneling. So we painted it, and I got like a bedspread that meant something to me, that was cute, that I liked. And I just did a few things to make it, even though I'm sleeping and you can't see, make it be more relaxing. And just in general, without clutter, we should never have a TV in the bedroom. I have one in my bedroom and I need to get it out, but we don't need a TV, because all of us will sit there and watch Happy Days or something that's ridiculous or such a waste of time, when we should be resting, or even not having your phone in your room, so you're not looking at these things, because we just can get caught up in it, and you realize, like, you think you're just gonna do it for 5 minutes, and like an hour or two's gone by. So making sure your bedroom is in an environment that is pleasing, that is relaxing and comforting, without a whole bunch of junk around, and just neat and orderly, would be wonderful. This goes into the Chinese way of feng shui, which means having everything in order, and a little bit on another scale, like, figuring out where your bedroom is and which way it's facing. Like, I do believe that, but then also what's on the outside of your wall. So if you should have a water meter or a smart meter, which I hope you don't, and it happens to be on the side of your house where your bedroom or the kid's bedroom is, like, do not have the head of your bed facing that direction, because you do not want all those EMS and electric magnetic frequencies sitting there on your brain all night. The wall is only this thick, right? So you really want to just even go be aware of that. I've had people change that, and just changing that, because they didn't realize they had that kind of electrical equipment outside where they were sleeping, made a difference for them. So that's a blessing to find out. Of course, nice tones in the walls. And this is nice, light, airy. I love the way this looks. My girlfriend, Julie, she just painted her bedroom not too long ago, this deep blue that's beautiful as well. And it just helps keep the room darker for them for when they do go to sleep. And she likes that as well. And blackout shades or blinds. Like I literally just bought material to put over my blinds because it was inexpensive. It's dark. And what I needed for my bedroom, since we have so many windows in my bedroom, it was going to cost like almost $1,000. I'm just like, okay, I'll just do it myself. And I love being creative, so why not? And so there's things that you can do to really black out your room. You're not even supposed to have the little lights in there from like the TV or the, like if you had your computer in there, or there's an alarm clock or something like that, like put the alarm clock in the bathroom, not only so you get up if you want to check the time for some reason in the middle of the night, if you go up to the bathroom, then you can check it there, but not having those lights that really affect your sleep, because that is an issue. And so this comes into even when we have diffusers, with a children's room, if you need to have a night light for some reason, like don't introduce a night light to a child, because we don't want to set them up to think that they have to have that, and your eyes will adjust to the dark if they wake up in the middle of the night and that kind of thing. And perhaps you could have one in the hallway instead if that was the case, but make sure it's not too bright. But I remember my younger son, he's like, this is before I knew anything, right? But I put a night light, he's like, I don't want that night light. I'm like, okay, but it's so dark, I'm setting him up for this stuff. He's like, I don't want it. I'm like, okay. And he was like 5 years old. I'm like, perfect. I'm glad he knew better than I did. Sort of just talked about this, but ditching the electronics in your space. You don't want to charge things next to the head of your bed or in your room. You want all the EMFs out as much as possible, because it will affect you greatly. EMFs are not just affecting your sleeping. It's not a hogwash thing. It's affecting your central nervous system and your movement of your body. And it's like, I don't believe in electric blankets. I used to love them, or electric mattress pads, because they're messing with your electrical frequency in your body. And I should have looked this up before getting on here, and I didn't, but it affects your, Pam, do you know the answer to this? Your AC and your DC, it has AC waves. And so it really affects your electrical being, your electrical, so it affects your whole rhythm of your heart rate and everything.
Sorry, I do not. I read a great book is by Sabina DeVito, though, that has the EMF poisoning, how to get away from EMF poisoning, but I do not know it off the top of my head.
Okay. Yeah. So, and a lot of people don't think as like electric blanket or a mattress pad as bad. If you have a biomat, that's DC current, not AC current. So that's different. It's not bad for you at all. But the AC current affects you in your body as well. So you don't want that. Okay. Who wakes up at 2, 3, or 4 every morning and you don't have to, right? And this is where you have to really figure this out. So I helped a lady one time. I tried everything in my knowledge to help this lady sleep. And then one time we were talking and it just came up. I was praying, I said, Lord, please help me figure out how to help this lady, right? So it just came up. I said, hey, what do you watch before TV? And she's like, oh, I love scary movies. And she's like, but they don't scare me. And I said, well, when you wake up at 2 a.m, what do you think? She's like, well, I was thinking about that movie. I'm like, well, then you do have a problem with it. I was like, oh my gosh, like after a month of trying to help you, it literally drove me nuts. So now I know every time I help someone with sleep, I ask about, do you watch scary movies ahead of time? But then when I learned from another lady is she's waking every day at whatever time. I said, why are you waking up? Asked her about the movies, not that, whatever. She said, oh, well, I said, do you have pets? She said, oh yeah, my cat hates it. She's like, if I lock her out of my room, then she just scratches the door and whines all night and she keeps me awake. But if she's in my bed, then she just purrs and like is up by my head and I can't sleep either. I'm just like, okay, so now it's the pet. So, I mean, I love my animals too, but you have got to get sleep. So you have to figure out a solution for that, right? But generally speaking, if nothing is interrupting you, there wasn't a big bang, no one came into your room, there wasn't a cat, dog, or a scary movie, then if you're waking up 2, 3, 4 in the morning and you should not be, then usually that has to do with the adrenals. So that means that you'd have too much excess cortisol going on. You have too much of that's the stress hormone. And so now you really need to do some evaluating to see what you can do to help yourself. And what's going on that your stress level is being affected. So this is most likely not going to just be a short-term thing. This probably means that this has been happening to you for a little while. So then you want to look up what you can do for your adrenals. This is not something that I'm going to be stating here on this call, And so look up for adrenal cocktail. Well, adrenal cocktail I can tell you about. That's when you take a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar and a good salt, which is good salt to me is only Redmond's real salt and Celtic salt. Too much of the Himalayan is adulterated, and we're not talking about ever white sea salt or even kosher salt, right? We're talking about Celtic, which is like gray, or Redmond's real salt. So you do a 1/4 teaspoon of that and cream of tartar with like 3 ounces of orange juice. You stir together and you can drink it like 6 o'clock and then before bedtime. That can really help with the adrenals. And then please look in your reference material for what you would do for adrenals as well. I like something called GABA. I like the Now brand. I like the Chewable. If you wake up in your mind, it's racing and racing and thinking and thinking, and turns bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. GABA is something that can really help you with that. So that's something that if you need more information on that, you can message me and I'll send you what GABA is. Young Living does have GABA in a product, and that is the Kids Calm with the little purple packets, the watermelon flavor. That's something that even as an adult you can take, and it's a great time to take at bed as well. It's not just for kids, but if you're adult, perhaps you want to take a little bit more. Now, diffusing is like amazing. So once again, when you're diffusing in your bedroom, you don't want to have the bells and whistles and lights on, right? Because that can interrupt the noise machine. When you have the feather diffuser, the white noise, like to me, I believe in white noise if that helps you out. And you don't necessarily have to have it in your room. You can have it outside your room. And so like I have a white noise machine outside our room because we have my son that's in the house as well. And it's whatever time and he's going up and down the stairs or whatever. And so it just helps block that noise. But diffusing is amazing. And we just did a whole, Danette Goodyear and myself did a whole presentation last week. I believe it was last Monday on diffusing, which Pam is putting the links in for all the replays for these calls. And believe me, when you hear all this information, you'll be like, I should be diffusing every day, all day. And the answer is yes to that. Lavender is amazing alone to diffuse and or put on your person or your pillow. So you don't have, if someone doesn't want to put lavender or they don't have a diffuser yet, or they don't want, like an infant doesn't have a pillow. You shouldn't give an infant a pillow, right? So you could put it either on their little outfit or like on both sides, like where their head would be on the blanket, or I mean, not the blanket, but the sheet on which they're laying, because when they turn this way, or they're just going to be able to smell it. If you don't want to put it on their person, but you could put it on their person, like at the bottom of their feet with a little carrier oil, a V6 or something as such. But diffusing is amazing. A quote from Gary said, look at the history of lavender and all of the properties that lavender has. There's monoterpenes and sesquiterpenes. And now when you have the sesquiterpenes and you're oxygenating the brain with the sesquiterpenes, and you put an ester with the alkaloids in it, and it creates a calming and soothing effect. So when people have difficulty falling asleep, you simply take lavender, of all simple things. It's like the Swiss Army knife, and you can rub it on your tummy, he said. You could put it on your shoulders, on your face, on your neck, on your carotid arteries, on your wrist, on the bottom of your feet. Someone can rub it on your spine. You can put it wherever you want, right? So what it does in the body is amazing, just that alone. And if you try, like George is doing, if you try 1 drop or 2 drops or 3, you may see a difference, right? So maybe you only need a drop, maybe 5 drops works better. And my grandpa, he's passed now, but he was so funny. He was addicted to Ambien for years. And he was like, I think he was 89, right? When we were going through this. And he's like, I'm mad at this lavender. And I said, why are you mad at lavender, Grandpa? And he said, because I'm addicted to it. He said, if I don't use it, I can't sleep. And I'm like, and that's a bad thing. Like, of course you're 89, you have all these different things going on in your body, but if lavender helps you have a restful sleep, then just use the lavender, Grandpa. It's better than what you were using, right? And so it was just sort of funny. It's like, well, I don't like to become dependent on something. I said, but you were dependent for like 50 years on the other one, but whatever. It was sort of funny. So having consistent sleep times is very important. Of course, especially for children, you need to have a regimented sleep time. For young people, It will help them out greatly. And then waking up at the same time each day can help keep you on that schedule, falling asleep at a certain time. And it just gets in this body and this rhythm of knowing what's going to happen and when, and it promotes a much better sleep if you can stay on a schedule. Preparing for bedtime is amazing. Once again, we talked about eliminating electronics and having a ritual before bed. I highly believe that you should get a notepad. I used to be a professional organizer and I used to teach everyone this. And you should always have a notepad. And before you're going to bed, I believe you should have a master list, and then you should have like, what's the next day? And so the master list can be sectioned off into, business, home, children stuff, whatever you have, like all the different categories you got, right? But then the next day you're going to write down all the things so they don't store in your brain, because all night, if you don't have them written down, like when you write them down, like I literally would tell people, tell your brain, I'm writing down all the things that I need to remember for the next day, so I don't have to think about them at night, right? So I know my brain's like, you don't have to think about anything tonight. So your mind won't be going like this. You write down the things that you want to remember, and then you can get your schedule ready for the next morning. And so that everything is ready to go. You wake up and you don't have to think, what do I have to do today? Oh my gosh, I forgot, all these things. You have it already ready to go. So that's amazing. So that's part of the routine that I believe someone should be doing. If you have the opportunity to take a hot bath and use your stress balms or put oils in there, I love having fennel in the bathtub. For example, that's such a huge relaxant, or rubbing your body on with that, or whatever it is. When you have children, rubbing them down with the oils before they go to bed. I mean, what a beautiful way to have a child relax at bedtime, give them a little massage with these beautiful oils. And I'm sure every spouse would like this as well, but what a beautiful way to do things for children as well. Eat less for dinner. If anyone has my book, which is Living Balanced, I don't know, I didn't say this yet, but here it is. But if anyone has this, and if the old desk reference, there's a whole section there about the clock diet. And so I love the concept of the clock diet. When my children were at home, we did this all the time. And this is where you ate your heavy proteins for breakfast and or lunch. And then you didn't eat heavy proteins going on for dinner, because especially if you're talking about animal proteins, it takes 8 to 9 hours to digest. Well, it could even be up to 12 hours, depending on what you're eating and if you actually chew your food, right? So you need protein, and especially good fats, in the morning for all this energy. When the kids or people just drink their coffee and have a piece of toast, or just eating cereal, or nothing of value protein wise, whether animal or not, then your body just goes through these carbs so quick, right? So when you have protein, it's taking like 8 to 9 hours to digest. So literally like every 15 minutes, you get like a boost of little energy. So why you want to eat less for dinner and not heavy proteins for dinner is that if you just ate this heavy protein meal and you go into bed, your body now is sitting there for the next 9 hours, let's say, trying to digest and process this food, is pulling the blood from the body and from the organs to digest and process this food, when really it should be resting and getting ready and cleaning out the body. The liver should be trying to get rid of all this excess stuff. And now that blood is pulled to try to digest the food. So the body does not get to do what it needs to do before it needs to get ready for the next day. So it can benefit you greatly to not eat heavy proteins at night. And Pam, can you help with this? Because I know you are the yoga expert, so I am not trying to pretend like I am.
So it's really beautiful to do kind of an active restorative posture before bed. So I see a lot of you that are showing where you are live on your screen. If you'll just push away from the desks, it looks like a lot of you are sitting where you have something in front of you. It's really nice to do a supported forward fold, not an active forward fold like you're trying to touch your toes, but you're just getting your head to relax it down, resting your forehead on a pillow or your arms or something like that, and taking some breaths, grounding your feet and feeling your whole body just start to meld. So as we're in this position, you'll feel yourself holding on. You'll feel the tensions in the areas. You can do a little body scan from the top of your head down to your feet and just say, what am I feeling up here in my head? What am I feeling in my face? And you can tell yourself to start calming, start to find peace. And as you work through the body from the head down, and you start to breathe as well. But a forward fold is a beautiful way. There's another picture from Ed, if you go to the next slide, Stacey, that really shows like just taking a moment to chill out. That's basically what Ed is saying here. And letting your head and your body rest to prepare for your ultimate night's rest. The other piece to it is the next slide talks about meditation before bed with a soothing oil. So I like to take, my husband, if you were on early enough, was talking about Palo Santo. Palo Santo is our nighttime oil that we place on. We put it on our temples, the back of our neck, our heart, and our belly, and then take that scent tent and breathe it in. And then even when I'm just laying in bed, you can sit in a meditation seat and actually meditate if you'd like to before bed. But I'm going to be honest with you. I meditate laying down, supine, finding my most comfortable position. And I put my oils on, my Palo Santo on, put my hands to my belly and just belly breathe. Filling my belly with air and then exhaling, letting the navel come in as I exhale the air out, making your exhalation longer than your inhalation. So if you breathe in maybe 3 counts, you're breathing out maybe 10 counts. And don't count it because you don't want your mind working unless counting sheep works for you, the old counting sheep. That might work for you to count your breath. But really just get into a rhythm of soothing yourself. Now, I love what Stacey said about writing down your thoughts in a notebook before bed. And if you don't mind, I'll just share. I had a little boy, and I say had special needs because he tested out of his special needs and was out of that stage of his life by 4th grade. But early on, from when he was a year and a half until he was 7 or 8, we needed to download the day. And so we would sit and talk through the day, and we would relax our body step by step. And we'd talk about, where are you holding that thought in your body? And we'd say, shake out your arm. If he'd say, in my arm, mommy, and we'd shake out that arm and then work to relax that arm and go through the whole body with what thoughts came to his mind. And then every single night we did a Valor balance where we put 6 drops in our hands. We rubbed our hands together, and then I'd put my right hand to his right foot, my left hand to his left foot, and would hold, and I would feel the energy balance, and he would feel the energy move up and down his body. And that has been every time. He's 27 now, and he comes home and he's like, Mom, Valor balance before bed? I'm like, absolutely, honey. And it's just our special time because we did it for so many years. And it's part of the soothing, right? Using whatever oil is soothing to you and just being mindful of your preparation for bed. Whether you do the bath and you're soaking in a bath, maybe you're alone and you don't have someone to help you prepare. That bath water is like a nice warm hug. Mm-hmm. So just preparing the body.
How nice. And what great memories.
Right? That the oils gave us, because I probably never would have learned how to do that.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I just wish I could go back and redo, or, if I had a uterus, I'd have another kid or something, So, because can you imagine just having a baby from birth now, and like knowing all the stuff, what you can do? It's like, oh my gosh.
Because I didn't learn until my kids were 5 and 7, but still they were young enough to live the lifestyle.
Yeah. Okay. Ed says we should enjoy a cup of tea, which I agree with you. But if you're trying to go to bed, then we would definitely be doing the spiced turmeric tea, right? Because that's the one that doesn't have any caffeine in it. And there's many different things, something hot and soothing at night. Of course, not with a whole bunch of sugar in it, right? But something, I love personally, like I like having tea parties, and we didn't always have tea with Young Living, okay? And we had sleek tea, and these are new teas that we just got, I don't know, like 2 years ago. But prior to that, when I'd have like a little Young Living tea party, I'd use the oils in the tea because I just love drinking certain oils. And I'm not really a fan of lavender, but lavender is calming. And that's something that great you can do. We think about peppermint as being something that gives us energy, but actually peppermint is also a relaxant. So you can literally drink peppermint before bed, and it shouldn't keep you awake. But because, once again, these oils are adaptogens, so they know what your body needs when you need it. I love personally drinking eucalyptus globulus. It's like delicious. There's just a lot of different things, so you can try it. But something nice and warm and soothing, or just, lemon oil or something. And once again, when you're drinking an essential oil, just, besides this tea here, you're talking about warm, hot water, not so hot. It's going to evaporate the properties, because then you sort of lose a little bit of what you're drinking it and why, right? So two of the main things that Young Living has to support us during this time, if you need help with sleep, is Immune Pro and Sleep Essence. Immune Pro is one that is amazing. It is a chewable. So to me, you'd want to make sure that you brush your teeth and then you can suck or chew on this, because it does get a little, to me, like gummy in your teeth. So like, you just don't want to then brush your teeth and waste all that, right? I hate to waste things. So this is something that does help contain immune support with the Ningxia wolfberries and the polysaccharides. It's a unique blend of different mushrooms and powders. It has 4.2 milligrams of melatonin in it. It has zinc, it has selenium in there, and that helps with immune function. One of the things that we're allowed to say as well is that it helps with an extra boost of the immune system and encourages a restful night of sleep. And it's part of having a great wellness support, a regimen. Is like Immune Pro is literally amazing. Now, everyone is different. I have a friend that's literally only 90 pounds and she takes 2 of these, okay? I took one and I felt like a freight train hit me, and I was like, try to wake me up in 2 days and see see if you can get me up in 2 days. Everyone's body is different. So literally when I take Immune Pro, I only take a half. My husband takes a whole. And when I first, been in Young Living for 15 plus years, so hadn't taken this for years, and my husband was having a little bit of trouble sleeping, so I got some. And it was like so funny because we all took it, my son and my husband and I, and we all just took one because I didn't realize at the time I probably only need half. And I was sitting here, I guess I wasn't expecting it to work so quickly. And so I was still at my computer and my eyes are like going like this. And I swear, I almost felt like I had to hold my eyes open to go to my bedroom. And as I was going downstairs, my son's like, Mom, what did you give me? He's like, I'm so tired. I can't even keep my eyes open. I was like, I know this stuff is like amazing. So that's Immune Pro. Okay. And the next one we have is Sleep Essence. And just being honest, people either love Sleep Essence and they think it works, and then if it's out of stock, they're like freaking out, or they don't think it works for them at all. Sometimes maybe you need a combination of this and something else, and it does become a game, because my experiences may help you, but it doesn't mean that it's going to work the same for you as it did for me, but generally speaking, it does. Okay, so Sleep Essence is amazing. It has lavender in there, vetiver, valerian, and ruta. And it is a capsule that really helps with the natural sleep rhythm. It promotes wellness and well-being. And it's great just overall for helping promote a restful sleep and sleep rhythms in the body. And so the one lady I was just talking to that I was helping with, actually it was my aunt. She just took a Sleep Essence and she took a GABA, and she's like, you wouldn't even believe, she's like, I slept so well. I was like, okay, fantastic. And so there's just a lot you can do with this. It has 3.2 milligrams of melatonin in it. I wanted her to try some Calm and some different things, but she didn't have that on her. So she used what she had. And I said, let's just not forget the power of lavender in such oils. And I'll tell you in a second about the other oils. Melatonin is a hormone, if you didn't know already, and it's primarily released from the pineal gland and at night, as long is it's been associated with controlling of the sleep-wake cycle. So it's very important to use it, not that you want to overuse it, because we want the body to make sure it knows that it needs to produce its own, but it is definitely here for periods of time that people can use it. And some people found that they're actually literally deficient in melatonin when being tested. So this is a great alternative for that as well. Just so you know. Here are some oils. And I have to tell you, if you mix cedarwood and eucalyptus globulus together in a diffuser or on your person, it smells literally like a spa. It's like so great. I love the smell of cedarwood and eucalyptus globulus in general, but together they are amazing. Now, my husband does not care, although he wants me, he does not care for the smell of cedarwood. I love the smell. I put it all over my face and whatever. So usually I'll mix that with eucalyptus globulus and whatever, so he doesn't have to smell something he doesn't care for as much. Or maybe I'll just use that on the bottom of my feet or whatever, right? When you're getting into rutavala, sometimes I offer people to say, hey, do you like the smell of rutavala or cedarwood better? They're like, oh, okay, cedarwood, because rutavala smells like butt, in my opinion. Everyone doesn't feel that way, but I'll have to tell you, just recently on the airplane, I was coming home with Karen Malone and Cindy Wiggins and myself, and I wanted some deep relief on the back of my neck because that just gives me energy and it just makes me feel good. And I don't know how in the world this happened, but somehow I pulled out a rutavala roll-on instead. And I opened it, didn't realize it yet because you're just used to the oils. And I started rubbing it all over the back of my neck. And instantly people are like, what is that smell? I mean, I was coming from like 6 different angles, and Karen and Cindy are asleep. And I'm just like, no, sinking in my seat here. So I put my scarf around my neck and I just like sat. I was like so mortified because of all oils, that is not the one you want to open on a plane. People were complaining for like literally 20 minutes.
Can I add something here that I learned from Gary that was precious information that I think people would really love? Is I agree with you, and he used to get up on stage and say exactly what you just said, Stacey, about rutavala, right? But I was in his living room filming the One Gift movie, I don't know, years ago, and I asked him a question about my son that I mentioned. And he said, Pam, one of the best supports that you can give individuals when they have fractionated energy. Okay. Fractionated energy is the term I'm going to use for this.
When you're sporadic.
When you're sporadic,
Yeah.
when
Yes.
you may call out when it's inappropriate, when you may have emotions that don't fit the situation, things like that, which we see that more and more in our kids and teenagers with everything we've gone through in the last few years. That he coached me to put rutavala on the back of the cervical spine, layered with frankincense on top of that. And so once you put the frankincense on top, the smell of the rutavala goes away. Because then you have that blend with frankincense in there. And I highly invite people during the holidays that can get a little chaotic, when we all feel a little fractionated at times, that you maybe invite you to try that, because it's a really beautiful tool that I'm not sure Gary ever said that out loud, like on stage. It was a very private, personal moment, but I've tried to share that message because it's very profound, those two oils up the cervical spine together, and everyone's experience is going to be different, but I invite you to experiment with it.
Thank you. That is good. It seems like the oils, like even valerian, and we don't have valerians on here, and we don't have, what's the other V one? Well, valerian's the main other one for sleep. I mean, valerian doesn't smell either. And so maybe we can put some frankincense on that on after that as well. And obviously, why not? Frankincense is amazing. Idaho Grand Fir really helps with, are we allowed to say this, but lowering excess cortisol and or feeling overwhelmed or whatever the case may be. I know my girlfriend, she just puts that underneath her tongue, and she just swears by it. And so that's something that we can use too over our adrenals, which is like right above your kidneys, or any of these oils, once again, anywhere. And you may have other favorites that help you as well. If it's like a scariness at night for some reason, like, peace and calming or stress away can be something that can help support someone. So it's just whatever it is for somebody. Go ahead.
Idaho Grand Fir is my absolute favorite in bed oil to relax all things and enjoy. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm sorry, what? Say it again. Valerian is to help you get busy. What are you saying?
No, I said Idaho Grand Fir is my
Oh.
absolute favorite in bed oil to help everything relax and have pure enjoyment. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, pure enjoyment is, let me go back there. Idaho Grand Fir. And if you have like an old stash here, we're talking about Idaho Grand Fir and balsam fir are the same thing. Okay, Ed was saying you have to go do your own research on this, but I'm going to help you with one of them. So it's called, oh my gosh, no, Valerianic, no, Valerianic. What is that word, Pam? Say it. Valerianic acid. I'm so sorry.
Yes,
Yeah.
you got it.
Is that it? Okay, good.
Yeah.
So what he wants you to do, and what you should do, is go look some of these things up. When you look up oils that are high in sesquiterpenes or esters or monoterpenes, what D-limonene is, whenever you see something like this on Young Living's website, that means we can't tell you about it, but if you go look it up for yourself and do the research, if you say, what's the benefits or what's high in this, you will start to learn some of this yourself and understand why it's so important. So valerianic, I'm saying wrong, acid is used as a sedative and helps with many different things. And the oils like valerian that are very high in sesquiterpenes, when you read more about it, it will tell you why, right? So look up these words. It's really fun to start doing some research to look at the big picture. And if you do have reference material in the back, it will give you like a list of sesquiterpenes and monoterpenes. And it's fun to really read and learn what those things do. Okay, I am getting this for my husband. It's a Freedom Release and Freedom Sleep Kit. Pam, do you have this? Have you used it?
Yes.
Okay, can you go over this slide?
Sure. So Freedom Sleep Collection, these blends in here are specially made to, how can I say this? Specially made to melt the emotional body into calm, is how I'm going to say that. So Aroma Sleep Essential Oil Blend, diffuse this gentle blend. So diffuse that at bedtime, or I like to just take it and inhale it and take that, use the inhalation method. I might put it on a little cotton round or on a tissue or just on my pillowcase or that kind of thing. Then the Freedom Essential Oil Blend, we're more familiar with now because we actually have this blend. We had this blend as a convention blend. It enhances the blend in this collection. It allows you to be free with what you feel stuck in your life with. So it gives you a sense of freedom of things that are stuck, that are kind of binding you up. Does that make sense? That's the intention here. Inner Harmony, we know that Harmony oil is really great in the navel, and Inner Harmony just has a few more oils in it. I'm sorry, I don't have even my phone in front of me because I got off an airplane so fast and got home to tell you what is exactly in this blend on top of the Harmony blend. But it balances the energies of the body, top to bottom, I would say, so that you can come into calm. And then, of course, we know our ever beloved Valor, to feel the empowerment and the grounding and the, I think of Valor at nighttime as an unwinding of the things that may stay with us, that may help us doubt ourselves. It brings our confidence back and our courage back, even as we sleep. is kind of how I think of that at night with what I did with my own child, and then utilizing this collection with others. Aroma sleep is the intention, right? It sets the intention. Freedom goes into, may I be free of all things that hold me back from being my highest self and being in my state of calm, if your intention is sleep. And then inner harmony, may my energies all be with me and support me, so my hormonal body can work, my circulatory body can work. I'm not saying that this blend makes those things work. I'm saying your intention, so that your body comes into that working together stage, so that your lymphatics, all the things come into inner harmony, and then your valor empowers you as it brings you into calm. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, that's perfect. And obviously, I'm sure that all of us could go through even a cycle of this, whether we have sleep issues or not, with both of these kits. And of course, even doing the feelings kit, which would be amazing. So rounding, thank you, Pam, rounding this up here. So a nightly routine is important. Diffusing the oils is fantastic. Applying essential oil of lavender or other such things, making sure you have a dark, cool room, no electronics, wake up and go to bed at the same time every day as much as possible. And especially for these children, like sometimes if I'm at the store late and I see kids at like, 10, 11, 12 or midnight, at the supermarket, I'm just like, oh my goodness. A hot bath with oils prior to bed or whatever you can do. These are great routines to help here, and words to reflect on. And it says, with proper consistent sleep levels of the stress hormone, I'm sorry, let me start over. Without proper consistent sleep, levels of the stress hormone cortisol spike, the immune system function is reduced and the brain power is impacted, similar to alcohol intoxication. So really the sleep not only is boosting the immune system, it's helping your cognitive and the overall body. So it's just something that we want to make sure that we do our best to really be aware of what we need to do. And the benefits of sleep is gonna be better heart health, better immune system, elevates the mood, helps you think clear, regulates blood sugar levels, and clarity of mind and thought. So we just want to thank everyone here for coming on. I know we didn't do Ed the justice exactly of how he would do it, and we can always have him do a special call in the future, but we do thank him for his PowerPoint and the ability to be able to do our best and teach on his behalf. So thank you so much. We're going to end this call right now and get ready for the Monday Night Ignite business call. If you'd like to, please stay on. Just 1 second.